Good morning. You're really welcome. Thanks for joining me. So we're at this time of year that's called Bialtena in the Celtic calendar. And Bialtena is about the light, the fire. So it's about coming out into the world. And through the Celtic calendar, there is this cycle, this cyclical nature of light and dark and how they play with each other. And we've moved through this period of the darkness and we're coming into the period of the light. And it's about bringing what we've gained from that dark reflective period, from that period of turning in, of being in the quiet space, and bringing it out into the world. This opening into the world. And it's a way of bringing deeper quality or deeper sense of belonging, deeper sense of connection, deeper sense of ourselves into the world, coming out into the world. So traditionally in Ireland, what they would do would be extinguish the fires in every home. And the fires would be the central part of every home, where people connect, where people eat, where people commune, brings light, brings warmth. They would extinguish them. And they would light one fire at Ishnok, the hill of Ishnok, the centre of Ireland, the navel of Ireland. They would light this one fire, and from that fire, all the fires through the country would be lit. They would light fires in all the hills. And it would simply be about this light, this coming into the world, bringing our light into the world, how we're all connected, how we're all coming from the darkness into the light. So we'll play with this through our practice this morning. So take your time, come onto your backs. Now bring the two legs together. Let's take the left leg all the way over the right leg, thigh over thigh. Very simple. We're going to move the foot and the hips a little to the left. We just scoot the bum a little to the left. We let the legs drop gently over toward the right. Now, if you feel this is a lot, you put something underneath the legs. You can put a cushion, a brick, books, so the legs have something solid to drop into, and you can be in a level of twist that is perfectly acceptable for you. But again, what you're tuning to or tuning into is some of the holding around that waist hip area. And again, it's this idea of meeting the contraction in our body. Not only just to open the body up, but because we know that this physical holding in the body will actually allow a deeper unfolding in terms of the nervous system and what informs the nervous system, what programs the nervous system. I want you to, as you meet the contraction, be in it, breathe into it. Focus your attention gently in this area or these areas. And as you continue to breathe here, and if you're using a support, you might be able to drop the support a little to let the body, as it becomes available, go a little deeper. But important not to rush. To feel, to feel, to feel. A few more breaths here. Okay. So unhook the leg so that the left leg comes free of the bottom leg, and then just slide the left leg back and then the right leg back. So we want to move back really easily. As you come back to center, could you take a moment just to pause back in the middle, just to be still for a moment and just feel. And the more you take these pauses and you tune in, you're building a quality of sensitivity, your capacity to actually notice what's happening with you in deeper kind of quadrants or deeper levels. Just to notice. Perfect. Okay, 2 legs together. Let's take right leg on top. We'll scoot everything over to the right. We'll let the legs drop over to the left. Again, you might want to use a support underneath the legs if that feels appropriate. And then whatever you're uncovering, you're meeting, breathe. Make sure you're not forcing or pushing too far to begin. So in the beginning, what's a good register is, yes, you're tuning into something that feels tight and a little uncomfortable, but you're also able to stay with a breath that feels at ease. Breath is very much connected to your quality of awareness. And each of us is refining that quality of awareness. We're very intentionally turning toward that part of us that is at ease in every moment. Even though it gets covered up, we disconnect from it. We can reconnect to it. We can develop it, develop our access to it. Breathe now. Breathe into what you're meeting. If you can hear your tummy going off like I can hear mine, that's a good sign. That's even the intestines are beginning to soften and release. All those deeper holdings, those places in which we store mistrust. They're letting go. Breathe. Nice work. Again, just take your time, easily as you can, you come back through center. Be still and just notice. Like bring the mind into your body. This in itself, even if we were doing nothing else, this in itself is such an incredible way of coming home, integrating our system. We're designed to work as this one experience, and yet for most of us it's just split, it's decompartmentalized, it's different areas doing other things, it's the mind off doing one thing. So we're bringing it all back. First side again, 2 legs together. Left leg over right leg. Move your hips a little to the left. Drop the legs back over to the right. If you want to use support, do that. When you get to where you get to, breathe. So we just give the body permission to be wherever it is. And then we're inviting our consciousness or our awareness into that experience. few more breaths here. Nice work. Okay, let's take ourselves back again, back to the center space. Again, when you get back there and you place the feet and the hips, could you be still for a moment, perfectly still? Just breathing. And then we bring the legs together. We'll do the second side again. Right leg on top, we move foot and hips a little to the right. We'll let the legs drop over to the left. Breathe. Again, we'll come back to center. You take a moment as we do that to be still and to feel. Another way of looking at these moments of pausing is that we get so used to feeling our bodies as this solid, fixed experience. And when we pause through the work, we get an opportunity just to feel the subtle shifting. And in the beginning, you mightn't really feel anything. But as you continue to go there, as you continue to pause and notice, have the intention to notice, you will find it. Okay, 2 feet are on the floor. I want you to feel into the toes, to spread the toes, just notice them. Grip the mat and release, and grip and release, and just move that front part of the foot. Like notice the balls of the toes, the metatarsals. Just feel into. And then this action of, without moving your feet, the feet aren't going to move, but you spread the toes grip the mat, and without moving your feet, you're pulling them toward your hips. And then you're letting all of that go. And you're repeating that action. Just pulsing that action, that engagement. And as you continue to do that, I want you to notice what's happening around the legs first. You notice those parts that are engaging, releasing. And then can you go a little higher to the hips? Can you tune into the hips? What's happening in the hips as you do this? And then finally, can you go to the lower back? Notice what happens there. So you'll notice as you engage the feet, as you pull them toward you, the end result is the arch in the lower back gets a little deeper. Can you engage and sustain that work through the feet and legs and hips? Can you very actively press the bum down so you either deepen or sustain the arch in the lower back? Be careful. The lower back can be weak because it tends to overwork for most of us. So you might need to back off. You don't need to force this. But I just want you to have a sense of what it's like to anchor in the pelvis in this way. Now, you could even let the legs and feet soften a little, but keep the rooting action through the hips. So this action through the pelvis takes your thigh bone and it brings it deeper into what we call the acetabula, the hip socket. And this is a very healing repositioning of the pelvis. whatever, you know, and I'd almost say, could you maintain the engagement with as little effort as possible? So could you even back off with the effort, but keep a sense of, yeah, I'm actively pressing my buttocks down. I'm sustaining the arch in the lower back. Now, bring the attention to the breath, and I want you now to focus at the bottom back ribs. Breathe into that space. So you're sustaining the arch in the lower back through the work in the hips, but now as you breathe into that part of the back, can you feel it pulsing? Expanding with the inhale, contracting with the exhale. Soften your face, relax your jaw and your eyes. Stay with this breath. A couple more rounds. Nice work. And then soften, just let everything relax. So again, in terms of foundations with the body, back of the body is a really big anchored space. So philosophically, when we look at the body, we look at the back of the body as connected to that unseen. The idea of the place that we come from. Front of the body is more to do with this physical experience, this ever-changing relative experience. So you could understand why the front of the body, if it's disconnected from that anchored, rooted place you come from, the front body that's in this world that's really tricky to be in will want to stay protected. But if we can begin to access the rooted quality through the back body, the front body has something to remind it it's safe. So even that rooting through the pelvis and equally through the upper back area. And if you think of that in terms of your spine, the pelvis and the upper back are the two parts of the spine that are moving backwards, as opposed to the lumbar, lower back and neck that are coming forwards. Yeah? Okay. So I want you to see, can you maintain those curves in your back? Can you have a sense of them as you extend the right leg out along the floor and then hold the back of the left leg with the two hands? So you're trying to keep that general position in the hips, trying to keep some lightness of the arch of the lower back or re-establish it. But if it's gone, you're aware it's gone, and that's fine too. Take the leg you're holding upward, and when it goes as far as it can, bend it again and extend it again. And just bend and extend. Again, you're not forcing, you are going into areas of discomfort, but it's different to forcing something. Just pulsing, bend and extend. Okay, you're extended now. Now you can look up and you can see the foot, and you just begin to move a little. I want you to move relatively slowly as you play with the foot. And you're feeling not only the holding in the foot, in areas of the foot, but you'll of course notice it through the calf, through the shin, right up into the knee. And it's almost like you're looking for an attitude that meets the holding with, oh, look, oh. You know, almost a kind of a neutral curiosity. It's a different way of meeting what is challenging in our lives. Okay, move the foot in circles now. You could go a little faster. And then take the foot in the other direction. Nice, okay. We're going to keep the legs there. So the right hand comes down onto the bottom leg. You just bring it onto the thigh, or you can have it on the floor if you wish. And then the left hand just slides to the inside of the left leg, so on the inner thigh. Now, even here, before you go any further, could you again actively try to press the bum down so you maintain or deepen the arch in the lower back? Okay? Now, the weight is distributed evenly through the hips. So the moment you notice the weight moving, you've gone too far. You're pressing the left leg into the left hand. You're slowly tilting the left leg toward the left. Now, you might only go an inch or two before you feel the weight drop to the left side of the body. Then you've gone too far. So it's not about how far you go, but we're trying to maintain an integrity of alignment and engagement. And then just breathe. Wherever you are, breathe. Is there anywhere that can soften even though you're working? Jaw, face, shoulders. The shoulders drop back a little. Just breathe, breathe. Try to keep that rooting, active, intentional rooting through the pelvis. Same way. 5, 4, 3, 2. Now come back to center. Keep the leg up. Take the arms wide now on the floor. And bring that left leg over toward the right. So now you're rolling over to the outer edge of the right hip. So you're getting a bit of a twist. That left leg is extended as far as it'll go comfortably. And then whatever you're meeting in terms of holding, tightness, breathe into it. Breathe into it. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and then for 1. I want you to bring it all the way back up, all the way up, and then lower the leg down and let the two legs just relax. And then that practice of feeling. You feel the way the left leg feels lower, like it's dropped. It's more anchored because you've worked with it skillfully. And this is the play between movement and stillness. This is how they work together. This is how the masculine and feminine aspects are designed to integrate. When they begin to meet each other in a way that is skillful, what we feel is deeper rest, deeper allowing, deeper ease. Okay. Again, we've got the two legs extended. Bring the attention to the pelvis. Anchor through the pelvis in the same way we've done already. So it's either deepening or maintaining, sustaining the arch in the lower back. Try to keep a sense of that as you bend the right leg, and we'll hold the back of the right thigh. Just go step by step. You're noticing if anything shifted in the hips. Take the leg you're holding up, and then bend, and extend, and bend. So even as you're moving through the leg, can there be an anchored steadiness in the pelvis? So you're still trying to intentionally press the hips down. It might only be a tiny bit of effort, but it is a bit. Front of the throat is open. Forehead is relaxed, jaw relaxed. Next time the leg goes up, keep it up. And again, just slowly tune into the foot, move a little. Where does it bring you? You know, and this practice is kind of what is happening in the world at the moment. You think about all of the challenges and struggles in the world that's bringing so much of the unconscious into the light. So this is exactly the same process. when you connect to something that feels tight, it was already there. You're just bringing it into the light of awareness. And it's only through that process do we then get to affect change. So you feel. Move the foot in circles now. Move it in the other direction. Perfect, okay. So left hand comes down onto the left thigh. Right hand goes onto the inner thigh, right leg. We press down through the pelvis, same thing. Sustain the balance as you slowly tilt the right leg to the right. Lifted leg. And again, be careful. The mind so often wants to go further. You know, all our lives have been rewarded by going further. That's not the practice. Practice is to be here. Breathe. Soften the shoulders and the jaw. Couple more breaths here. Okay, we're going to come back through center. We take the arms wide on the floor and we bring the right leg over toward the left. And again, when you get to whatever it is or wherever it is you get to, breathe. Couple more breaths. Okay, we're going to bring the leg back up and then we're going to release it down. 2 legs, rest. Feel, even noticing what's moving through the legs now. Okay, let's take the arms up toward the sky and then we wrap the arms around us. We're giving ourselves a hug. Try to get the hands on the ribs rather than on the arms. So whatever way you can work it out. Close the eyes, breathe into the hands. So you're breathing into the sides of the ribs or wherever the hands are. So now, of course, where you're holding will have the most sensitivity, that you're relating or connecting to them through the hands. But also can you have a sense of the ring of the ribs, the circumference of the ribs pulsing, moving as you breathe. Now the deepest breath, so I want you to really feel into what it's like to have your ribs at their most expanded. So the ribs are the foundation to the shoulders. Breathe. Literally creating mobility for the spine as you take these deeper breaths. tissue, the intercostals between the rib cage, becomes more plastic, more elastic. And it'll support more mobility in that thoracic spine and equally more lightness. And that supports the lumbar, the lower back. A couple more breaths. Nice. Okay, let's release the hands, bend the two knees. We're going to roll over to the side now. You might want a cushion for this. A lot of you guys will know this particular work. So a cushion for the head is usually a good idea. If you have a few cushions around you, one between the knees or even one between the ankles can be a really nice way of doing it also. Take your time. Knees are bent about the height of the hips, maybe a fraction lower than the hips. The heels are not back past the knees, so the heels are, let's say, in line with the knees. Two arms are extended out in front of the heart. Bottom arm lying on the floor. And then first thing I want you to do is just imagine you are on your back, and that work we did with our pelvis where we pressed it into the floor. If we were mimicking that in this position, without moving the legs, I want you to imagine your 2 feet, the soles of the feet were on the floor and the toes were gripping the floor. And without moving your feet, you're pulling them backwards. Another way of explaining that is pull your heels towards your hips. Just create a little bit of resistance. You're not moving the feet, you're just trying to engage. So it'll give you that movement through the hips that we were working with. And the bum begins to stick back, and you'll notice you're allowing or deepening the arch in the lower back again. I want you to see, can you sustain some of that? Again, if you go too far, it'll be uncomfortable. I don't want you to do that. Now, the space between the hips and the bottom shoulder, bottom hip, bottom shoulder, I want that to get longer. So I want you to literally lift the head a little and lengthen or shrug the bottom shoulder toward your ear and then come back down. So you've manually lengthened the spine as you do that. Okay, so a lot of you know this. The top hand stretches forward along the floor. As the arm lifts up, the head is rolling on the cushion at the same pace. So the head and the arm are moving at the same pace. You go to whatever feels available. Once the head isn't going to go any further, I don't want you to take the arm any further. And then you slowly come back to where you began. Okay. Second little precaution. The pelvis, the hips, the top hip doesn't twist backwards. So the top leg and hip stay where they are. If you go too far, they're pulled back, okay? That's bringing a twist into parts of the body that aren't designed to have a twist like that. So keep a sense of that as a boundary, and then slowly and steadily we'll go again. Slide the hand forward, take your time. Again, the arm moving with the roll of the head, and when the head's gone as far as it'll go, the arm has gone as far as it'll go. Notice if your hip and leg have slid back, bring them back into alignment. Feel free to pause in any part that feels like it might be good to pause in. And then the final bit of the puzzle, breathe, breathe, breathe. Nice work. A couple more on this side. Okay, so at the end of the one you're on, as you finish, you take a moment, that moment to be still and to pause. And when you're ready, then we'll roll over to the second side. So as you come on to the second side, really give yourself a few moments just to notice where the body is. Remember that work through the feet, legs, sense of the bum going back. You try to find that. So that, again, exaggerates the curvature, the double S of the spine. And we want the spine in that position as we begin to then move it into these twists. Again, the space between the bottom hip and shoulder, can you get a little longer in that? So you very intentionally were moving the body into fuller expressions. And when the body has more space, internal space, things will work better. There'll be more fluidness, more ease, more grace. Take your time, let the breath lead the way. One more on this side. So as you finish, you take a few moments. And then make your way onto your hands and knees. Make your way onto all fours. So in this position of all fours, you let the hips sway really gently as if it was an effortless movement. You let the lower back and belly drop and soften. So very naturally that arch in the lower back will tend to articulate here. Now, quite often you'll feel a tightness. So as you breathe into the tightness. Gently move a little through the shoulders. Little shrugging through the shoulders. Feel into the fingers on the earth so the weight moves from the wrists and spreads evenly through the two hands. Notice if you let the head sink forward, the neck sink forward, can you lift the neck? Breathe into the space of the upper back, broaden the shoulder blades as you press the earth away. This game or this play of trying to create strong, steady, committed foundations and at the same time maintain a fluidness, a mobility, and ease. And it's an exploration for each of us. Without moving, the fingers are gripping, like the toes did earlier, the fingers grip. And without moving your hands, could you pull them toward the legs and notice how it connects you to the abdomen? So that sense of the belly stretching. Keep a sense of the bum sticking up, same position we had when we were on our backs. Now breathe into all of the holding or the tightness in the body. Breathe. So particularly this ring of tissue, muscle below the ribs, above the hips. All of this is designed to stay elasticated. Perfect. A couple more breaths. Okay, soften. Come down onto the forearms, interlace fingers gently, walk the elbows together, walk the forearms together. Don't drop or sink the head down. Press the forearms down. Notice the space of the shoulder blades is broad. Breathe into it. And at the same time as that upper back space is expanding, can the lower back, can the belly melt? Few more breaths here. Again, a lot of you will notice the head will just quietly drop forward. And it's not so much about lifting the head, but I want you to lift the head by lifting the neck. So the neck is the vehicle of movement or alignment for the head. Okay. And then bringing yourself onto your back. Take your time. Get comfortable. If you've got some blankets, throw them over you. Let the attention come again to the back of your body, the back of your heart. Breathe into that space of the back of the heart. Anchor the pelvis into the floor again. And then let everything soften. And the floor is the part of you that is holding you now. Melt into it. So staying where you are, once again be with your breath. And the invitation of Bialtena, of this time, is to bring what we know and have learned from the darkness into the light. The darkness is our formless nature. The place before form. The place from which we are connected. The place from which we belong. And to bring that into this world that so often tells us that we are not connected, that we are separate, that we don't belong. We bring that truth, that knowing from somewhere deeper. Belonging knows its own shape and direction. True belonging comes from within. It strives for a harmony between the outer forms of belonging and the inner music of the soul. We seem to have forgotten the true depth and spiritual nature of intimate belonging. Our minds are oversaturated. We need to rediscover aesthetical tranquility and come home to the temple of our senses. This would anchor our longing and help us to feel the world from within. When we allow dislocation to control us, we become outsiders, exiled from the intimacy of true unity with ourselves, each other, and creation. Our bodies know that they belong. It is our minds that make our lives so homeless. Guided by longing, belonging is the wisdom of rhythm. When we are in rhythm with our own nature, things flow and balance naturally. Every fragment does not have to be relocated, reordered. Things cohere and fit accordingly to their deeper impulse and instinct. So take your time and breathe more deeply. And if you feel like stretching, stretch. And if you feel like staying where you are, stay where you are. But if you've decided to stretch, take your time. When you're ready, bend your knees. Roll over to the side. Get comfortable here. Notice your breath. And then if you can keep the eyes closed as you transition, come on to, or come into a seated position. Just move slowly. And we'll bring the hands then together in front of the heart. Of course, at times we resist the light, and at times we don't want to see. But we ask at this time of Bialtena that we align to the light, that we allow ourselves to be guided, to be brought into the light. This way of meeting ourselves, coming home to ourselves, of meeting our deeper belonging. To ourselves, to each other. We bow our heads. Namaste. Good work.